Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. All right, let's be honest, Robin. Have you ever purchased a book for young readers and maybe had your 14-year-old nephew in mind for the book? And before you wrapped it up, you started reading it a little bit, and before you know it, you couldn't finish. I mean, you couldn't put it down, and you finished the book before actually giving it to him. It's okay.
Yes,
it's really
true.
Okay. But now you've embraced the story. We have a wonderful book right here, and I don't know if it was intended for young readers. I thought it was, but I enjoyed it just as much as if I was 14 as I am now at 57, and it's written by Elayne James. She's been writing a long time. Apparently she does more than writing books. She's a singer and a songwriter, a playwright, a professional photographer, and an author. And oddly enough, as wonderful as this book is, it's called The Lightbridge Legacy, Destiny's Call. Elayne James on the phone, she wrote the book, and as oddly as it seems, all of the promotional material I got from her publicist is pointing to a movie that starts today. So I feel a little bit weird, talking about somebody else's movie when we really have a book right here that we should be focusing on. But I think there's a reason for this, and it has to do with learning from our choices of entertainment, especially our young readers. And the movie, by the way, that I'm referring to is The Hobbit, although I don't quite get the connection. We're going to have Elayne James explain that, but mostly let's learn about this book and find out about this wonderful piece of literature that somebody on your gift list is going to love getting. Elayne James. Good morning, Elayne.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Yeah, nice to have you. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the West Coast, California.
Oh, wow. So thank you for getting up early to be with us. On the cover of the book, it's the prettiest subway I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never been there. Where is that? Is that a real place?
It's beautiful. Yes, it's in New York, and it's called the City Hall Station, and it isn't actually available for public viewing at the moment. It's a closed station, has been for decades, but I think it's just one of the most beautiful places in New York.
Wow. I grew up in New York. I never saw a subway look quite this beautiful. Now, my notes here indicate that we wanted to focus a little bit on the movie The Hobbit, but I don't know that I understand the connection, other than the fact that it's for young viewers, as your book is for young readers. Am I right about that?
It's actually, like you said, it's an all-ages type of a book. Like The Hobbit, it was written primarily for middle grade and is just enjoyed by all ages. One of the connections that The Hobbit has for me is that I would never have actually written this book had it not been for reading The Hobbit at the age of 11.
Ah, okay. And when you were influenced by, as a young lady, reading The Hobbit, the first ones, that made you want to write? Or did it make you want to write this genre, or both?
Both, actually. It did make me want to write. I was writing before that a bit as well, but it did make me want to write fantasy. I probably would have taken a different road had it not been for The Hobbit.
What is it about it that attracts you? Is it that it takes you away somewhere?
Not just that. Actually, it's very pertinent for kids in the middle grades in the way that it creates a situation where someone has to leave their home and go out and take an adventure and be, kind of rise to the occasion, be someone that they didn't know that they could be. And I feel like the middle grades really, they're on the threshold of adolescence, facing a journey ahead of them that's full of unknown elements and treacherous terrain and, going into junior high and then high school. Yeah. It's a journey of epic proportions.
But you demonstrated this very well in the incident where Annie had this premonition about hitting something, and then she was in the car with her dad a few days later, and then she actually got the courage to speak up to tell him something that might prevent this happening if it happened, and it did.
Right. There's a little bit of foreshadowing in the book that makes you believe that things are going to start to happen to Annie as she continues on her journey. And like The Hobbit, she was forced into an unexpected journey as well. And that is another link to The Hobbit. She goes to many places that she didn't think she was going to be, and also needs to become a new person and use parts of herself that she didn't know existed in order to deal with all the ordeals that come her way, just like Bilbo Baggins does in The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in one of the characters has a double soul, and it sort of reminds me of, if you've ever known anybody that had like the dual person, the real dual personality, whatever that's called. Is that schizophrenia? I'm never sure what that's called. Okay, it is kind of weird to see two people in one, and I've often thought that person has two. There's two people in there sharing one body. Is that what a double soul is?
Well, a double soul was based on, it's a concept for the book that was created for the book, but it was based on something called the vanishing twin, which is a syndrome in the fetus in real life where there is two and then one vanishes and only one is born. And this is something that they've proven now, that there have been embryos that were meant to be twins and then actually only one was born. So I postulated that it's possible that there might have been two souls attached to that body and that one of them didn't want to let go while the other one was born, and that it could be that a child, a very rare child, would be born with two souls.
How does the Lightbridge legacy affect you as a writer and as a person? Has this, or do you think this is maybe the better question, will it change you? Will it change your life?
Well, it already has. It definitely changed my life. Writing it, it was 7 years, because it's 3 different books, and this is just the first one. The Destiny's Call is the first of 3, and possibly more, depending on how the series does. But I wrote a lot of my own experiences of what I learned from my mentors. It's a very mentor-driven story. Ani is only 12 years old, but she has certain people along the way that guide her. And this is something that happened to me. And it was a very rare upbringing, I realize now. And I'm hoping to give that gift to other children that might not have the ability to have a mentor in their lives. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that they could maybe adopt Ani's mentors and learn from her and her mistakes and her courage.
When I was in school and we had to take a thespians, we needed to do a 7-minute reading from the Lord of the Rings. And we were all assigned different things to do it. And I was amazed at the way the dialogue drove the story, and that's what yours does too. We actually feel a part of the character in each of the different scenarios that you put forth there. You don't do a lot of descriptiveness in the scenarios, but the conversation and the attitude of the characters really drive the story.
Yeah, that probably comes from being a playwright, because there is a lot of dialogue in plays, and the description remains on the page. It doesn't get on the stage.
When children are young and they're growing up, they have these, most children anyway, seem to have mostly imaginary friends, and they come in the form of animals. And you actually have Annie having conversations with the animals that puts a different perspective on whatever it is that they're talking about, as if they would have a conversation with another human.
Right. They become either friend or foe, depending on what animal she's talking to. And this is one of her growing magical abilities. The fact that she has been chosen by a race of ancients to inherit the most powerful magical object in the world means that she has certain abilities that are kind of, hidden to her, and she also doesn't know about her double soul originally, which also gives her abilities. Her double soul actually gives her the ability to wield the magic that the ancients have chosen to give her. So the ability to hear animals' thoughts is one of those magical abilities that she develops along the way as a result of being the double soul that she is.
Oh, wow. So it's not just all imagination.
No, in the story, she has a growing awareness that her imagination, that what she thought was her imagination, it actually has never been her imagination. She's always had these experiences, and her parents have kind of written it off as her imagination. and her imagination gets her into trouble as well. But as the wonderful things and the monsters become real, she realizes this is not something she's imagining, and these are real threats, and that her mother really has disappeared, and that she does have to rise to the occasion and learn the magic in order to save her.
Interesting. How many times have we seen a child who looks like he or she is, talking to an imaginary friend and wondered, I wonder if this is really somebody there. Yeah. We wonder that. I don't know how serious we wonder, but
sometimes we do.
That's actually where it comes from. For me, I wonder that. I do seriously wonder whether or not children see what we don't see, and see through the veils into other realms, and that is my imagination taking over. But